Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 12th of September for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you a flavour of what to expect this week for us all collectively, but please stay with me as I dive deep and give you each of the 12 zodiac signs in forensic detail. Now, late last week there was a full moon in the sign of Pisces, but it was angling to Uranus, the planet of change and the planet of truth. And you know, if we can use that more innovative energy of Uranus as we come into this week, it would be a good thing to do. And that means being open to fresh approaches. But we can take a fresh approach to either our spiritual, emotional and psychological well-being or to our physical well-being. And it means that the available energy we do have is likely to be limited somewhat. And therefore we need to apply it to things that are really meaningful, and that means prioritizing. However, the Sun is linking brilliantly to Pluto. When they're in a trine, this can see us changing something physically in our world, but also can trigger deep changes within us. And sometimes Pluto pushes us to change things before we're even conscious that that actually might be a good thing for us. Also, there is an opposition between Mercury and the other ruler of Pisces, Jupiter. And this is going to be going on right from now, right through to the end of the month. And they're both in retrograde, and in their own way they both have an impact on travel but also ideas. So I think it's important that we stay quite grounded around our ideas and philosophies. We may find ourselves or see generally quite a lot of different viewpoints competing against one another. I know that's quite a feature of modern life, but it can be even more prevalent. But if you are journeying anywhere or you're thinking of buying a new mode of transport, it's just asking us to try to stay very realistic, keep one foot on terra firma. Now, all week, Venus and Mars are also in somewhat of a squabble. And Venus in the sign of Virgo along with the Sun, it's not its best location. It's known as being in full. And Mars is in Gemini, so what you've got is the quick ideas of Mars in Gemini competing with the rather more cautious and practical energies of Venus in Virgo, but not quite so affectionate and openly sharing of emotion. And also the quarter moon, which occurs on Saturday, reflects that square between Venus and Mars because it's in Gemini, and that can create quite a lot of frenetic energy. So we've got nervous energy washing around this week, and then we've got the physical drive of Virgo being challenged by the moon position and then Neptune. So energy a little bit sensitive, and important that if we're going through changes, the changes we're trying to achieve are achievable. And I think it's just all about slowing things down and just making sure the things we're working on are the most meaningful and important strands and not getting scattered too much. So Gemini, your week commencing the 12th of September forecast sees your ruler Mercury in retrograde in opposition with Jupiter, the planet of expansion, in your 11th house of sociability and networking. Mercury, much more to do with your individual personal expression. Now that particular aspect could be quite bright and bubbly, or are you rethinking some of your social world and some of the connections you have? Perhaps what's really behind this is an innate sense of sensitivity, because the Sun and Venus are in your 4th house, very much more to do with nurture, with the energy of the full moon seeing your feelings quite close to the surface from Pisces, and the position of Neptune in opposition to the Sun. I feel that however much Mercury and Jupiter may be pushing you to be keeping the vibe bright and airy, there's another part of you that's really thinking very carefully about some big decisions about your work and your goals and ambitions, but also where you live. But with Mars in your sign squaring with Venus, if you do want to make changes to where you live in terms of the decorative order or furnishings, chances are you could decide to do things in quite a quick way. But I wouldn't be too impulsive, to be honest, because in a way Mercury's opposition with Jupiter could see you having lots of buoyant conversations, but behind that perhaps there's some kind of uncertainty going on. And of course Saturn and Uranus are squaring. Uranus in your 12th house has been really quite punishing, and that square with Saturn in your 9th house means that any kind of sensitivities or worries or anxieties seem to be amplified at this stage. And then the quarter moon in your sign on Saturday is once more echoing the square between Mars and Venus across the 3rd and 6th houses, which could see your energies being a bit scattered. So I think if we look at the position between the Sun and Pluto, that's given you a much deeper a guidance of your direction of travel. And when I say deeper, it means therefore tuning in to what really feels right. There's lots of peripheral things that could be competing for your attention, could be people, there could be some fun meetups, but actually if you strip all that away, you're wanting to know more where you're heading, where you can somehow be more rooted, and where you can feel that you're really finding a much greater meaning to your life that goes beyond the more immediate fripperies of fun, exchanges of jokes or text messages. There's something that is calling out to you, and you need to grab it and try to understand exactly what it is, because it's really emanating from the depth of Pluto in your 8th house of deep transformation.